folks, unless you got a cigarette. Went inside, grabbed a carton of Carltons, came back out, holy shit, my fucking car's gone. Now you can skip on a tip, I'll be alright, Joe, and maybe ride without paying, hey, I'll let it go. But if you're jacking my ride, I'm playing hero, reanimate Kubrick, I feel like De Niro. Gun-toting, smoking, wide open my eyes, penetrate the disguise of freeloading as criminals. Now under the impression I'ma let them go. I ain't Eastwood, but the shit is unforgivable. Not a word to say, I took all of the clothes away, stashed the heat in the ashtray, slid up to Broadway. It's okay, kids, I know you ain't game, so I'ma end this with a fuck you, but have a nice day. Intelligence is overrated. I'm never gonna make it, but I hate it out here. I wish I was a toaster up in some dude's basement. Oh, what the fuck, man, I'm stuck in fourth gear. Those fuckers, I paid them just to armor plate my brake pads. But I could tell they had a transmission fetish. I could see it in the shifty eyeballs, it was sad. They saw my 7-speed and probably busted out the radish. Yo, I'm never gonna make it, man, I hate it out here. I hate it out here. I hate it out here. Yo, I'm never gonna make it, but I hate it out here. I hate it out here. I hate it out here. I'm never gonna make it, but I hate it out here. I waited all year and I still get up and take it. Yo, I'm never gonna make it, but I hate it out here. I'll swallow my beer, then I'll step up and I'll take it. I'll step up and I'll take it someday. I'm gonna step up and I'll take it. I'll step up and I'll take it someday. I'm gonna step up and I'll take it. I'll step up and I'll take it someday. I'm gonna step up and I'll take it. I'll step up and I'll take it someday.
Ready? Hello, PAX. Oh, you sound hungover. That notch party? Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Toulouse. Most of you know me by my online nickname, Steptoe. I'm the former Xbox Live Director of Enforcement, but now I just do stuff like this at PAX, which is awesome. Basically, what we're going to do for you this morning is an interview with a guy that I think you probably heard of, it's Robert Koo. I'm going to start off by asking Robert some questions that I've come up with, but the real meat of what we want to do this morning is actually give you guys the opportunity to talk to Robert a lot about what it takes to, run the business of Penny Arcade, or questions about PAX, or just find more out about Robert as a person. He's a really wonderful guy. And without any further ado, let me bring to the stage Robert Koo, please.
Hey, dude. Good to see you. All right.
You wanna get up here? We got to set a good example.
Thanks. Yeah.
So, a lot of you are probably familiar with the fact that we did this in Boston, so we're not going to cover a lot of the same types or same exact questions, but I would like to bring up just a couple of things that we did talk about. One of the things that we talked about was how Robert came to Penny Arcade, and that's best summed up by stating that Mike and Jerry made a really terrible business decision in trusting him. But everything turned out all right in the end.
Yeah,
I think is a good way to sum that up. So we won't cover some of that stuff. We'll just go ahead and launch into. I've asked you the first question in Boston was along the lines of, how much money do you guys make? And his answer was, a lot. We make a lot. You guys still making?
We make okay money, yes.
You make okay money?
It's good. We make a good living. The bread, is on the table. So thank you for asking that. I know you were very concerned.
I was.
Okay.
I was. Coming from my recent bout of, self-imposed unemployment, right? Mm-hmm. I was real concerned about you guys. So I think, first and foremost, we probably want to launch into the Kickstarter.
All right. Let's talk about
So
the
we've
Kickstarter.
seen the video. Everybody's seen the video for the Kickstarter, right? How many Kickstarter contributors there? Not a lot, actually.
It's all right. It's all right.
So we saw the video. So how much of the video was, to use your word backstage, you know, when you were talking about showmanship?
Oh, it was all scripted, of course.
All scripted.
It's not like they captured the conversation and the idea happening in Mike and Jerry's office or anything like that. I mean, the truth is that I've been talking with the Kickstarter folks for over a year previous to that video as far as what the best way to do a Penny Arcade Kickstarter is, because we thought the model was interesting and whatnot. But it really didn't dawn upon me the structure of what ended up being Kickstarter Penny Arcade until a few months ago, and I literally walked into Mike and Jerry's office, gave them the 30-second pitch on it, and they said, "That's great, let's do it." And in a week, the Kickstarter was up.
So how much of that, though? I mean, how many times do you walk into their office and say, "Guys, XYZ," and they just, "Yeah, sure, Robert, that's what we pay you for"?
Well, no, keep in mind, like, it's not just just me pitching ideas. Like, it literally takes 6 months to a year for me to actually get to that point of, all right, I'm comfortable with presenting something to you. There are often a lot of organic conversations that happen with us throughout the entire year, but as far as that particular one, it was definitely a deliberate pitch, and they seemed to like it.
So that's the dynamic for you guys. Is that's probably not uncommon for even big decisions, is that you spend the legwork, and then by the time they know that by the time you're coming to them with the pitch.
You know, it happens both ways, where they will actually do a lot of research and pitch something to me, and then we'll have a discussion about it, as opposed to this one, which was I did a lot of research and pitched them, and then we had a discussion about it.
So one of the things I thought was interesting about the Kickstarter, and I've told you this before, but when I first saw the Kickstarter, one of the things I thought was, of all the sites that I don't want to have ads on, yours is at the very bottom.
Yeah.
Your ads are so relevant to my interests.
And yeah, and we get that, and we know that quote unquote hurt the Kickstarter as far as like, hey, yeah, you know, what we're actually trying to do is see whether you want to contribute money to get rid of something that perhaps you actually enjoy. But I will tell you, like, one of the number one complaints I get about Penny Arcade in general is that there are ads, period. And the idea and the genesis of the Kickstarter idea and the campaign was that, hey, how do we figure out a way to satisfy those folks? And a lot of people come to me and are saying, hey, you know what? You didn't get the $1 million. Are you sad? Or, you know, what do you expect this campaign to get to? And in my mind, and my answer then, and still is now, that quite frankly, I personally didn't really care what it got to, because in my opinion, it was a vote, a decision on whether people wanted the ads or not, and that's all it was. Because at the end of the day, no matter what, we would get the revenue either on the advertising side or from the reader-contributed side. And quite frankly, I think that it was an interesting split as far as the discussion. There are a lot of people that love the ads, there are a lot of people that hated the ads, and a lot of people that just wanted to support Penny Arcade. Mm-hmm. I'm sure one of your questions is, you know, whether we do this again in the future, and
oh, you presume to know my question.
Yes, I do, and I'm assuming that you will ask it, and I will go ahead and step on that and say, if we do it, it will be restructured in a different way, just because the feedback was, we like the ads. Like, we knew that people enjoyed the ads, and we knew that we took a lot of time curating them, and they were really important to us, and that integrity of the model was very, very important to us, but I don't think we quite understood how much that resonated with folks and how important that was.
It's interesting to me because it's not just the readers of the site that are I'll say acceptant of your ad model. I'm actually aware of different game developers who, if they can get through your process, that's a get. That to them is like, that validates their effort and means it's a good game.
Yeah, I mean, for us, the idea behind advertising in media companies that's totally, I mean, quite frankly, it's a totally fucked up business. Like,
right.
The idea that you are getting your paycheck from people that you are trying to be objective about, that's really screwed up. So, and our mind was like, oh, you know, how do you separate those two things? And our answer was that you can't. Mm-hmm. You cannot separate those things. So instead of separating them, we embraced it, and we said, okay, if you see an ad on Penny Arcade, that is in fact us endorsing it. Like that is Mike and Jerry
Yeah,
saying.
you move from the objective model
Yeah.
to the subjective model.
Exactly. It's like that is our endorsement, without a doubt. We approve this game. We think you should go look at it. It's not just an advertisement. It is a piece of PR now.
So from that perspective, it strikes me as interesting that like it's become over time this. It's a kind of a minor badge of honor for people who can get in, right? Like I said, it's a get. It's
Sure.
basically an endorsement. So was there any tension between your longtime advertisers or advertising in queue when you launch a Kickstarter that says that business is going to go away if enough people support it? So like they were like, wait, what? Why would we advertise with you now?
There was actually nothing but positive feedback from it on the client side. It was very interesting. I think that they realized that that Penny Arcade is Penny Arcade because we do weird shit like this, and that they will just roll with it in whatever way in however way that it shakes out. And clearly there are a lot of other opportunities to reach the audience, like with PAX and whatnot. And yeah, they were all very supportive of it. Like I got a lot of really fascinating emails and phone calls from executives being like, hey, you know what? I understand that this may be that we don't work together on the ad side, but congratulations.
It kind of makes me wonder if they were kind of thinking in their own minds, like, man, I wish we didn't have to sell ads. I wish we could go straight to the supporters and get funded in that way before we start to get our projects out. I don't know, but it strikes me as interesting because I can't figure out any other way for them to say, we're no longer going to advertise with you, but congratulations. Just strikes me as an odd sort of balance,
I hate the fact that you are standing and I am sitting. This is
all
really
right,
bothering me.
okay.
It's like
it's all about your comfort.
No, it's really uncomfortable.
You sure?
So, no, I'm fine. I'll stand.
Okay.
I'll stand.
All right. Because I'm not joking. It's all about your comfort.
All right. I'm comfortable.
And as I did that, I ended up closing my my questions. Okay, so you said you would do it again, and you said that you would structure it differently in doing it again. One of the things I think you guys caught a lot of flack for was at the opening was that concept of, well, you shouldn't use Kickstarter to fund your operational budgets. So like leading out with the video, you were saying, well, it would require this much money to provide healthcare. It would require this much money to keep the lights on. And then all of that like magically went away as soon as you hit the first stretch goal and unlocked that. No, it's really about the freedom to take a step back and do a bunch of projects you can't do right now because of time spent.
That was certainly a side effect to it, like as far as freeing up the time. And Mike and Jerry and I have had a lot of postmortems about the Kickstarter campaign, and I think a big concern was that it did get twisted into, oh, hey, you know what? You get these things, but that really took away from, I think, the core message of freeing up the advertising, and instead of being funded by advertising and clients and products and large corporations, we'd be funded by you. And I liked that message better, quite frankly. And I think that had we to do it again, and I'm sure that we would have raised less money, we would have, I probably wouldn't have done the stretch goal thing. I would have suggested to Mike and Jerry, you know what, let's just do hardcore, it's for the advertising, and that's it. I mean, what's really interesting is that a lot of conversations with Kickstarter that I had was that there is so much pressure on campaigns to turn the campaign into a store, which is that, all right, you spend $25, and you get this. And people would always say, hey, how's it possible you're $150 for a t-shirt? I know $150 and it costs, that's not what a t-shirt costs. Why are you trying to rip your fans off? It's like, well, we're not selling you a t-shirt.
Right. The
t-shirt is a reward for supporting the overarching campaign. And I think that Kickstarter probably struggles with this problem every day, but that messaging behind Kickstarter is the idea of supporting a cause versus this is a store where you spend dollars and you get shit. I think that's a problem that they're again constantly.
Right. It shouldn't be used as a pre-order store.
Correct.
Right. It needs to be. The reason I like it is because it returns art to patronage. Right, where I may donate $150 to your Kickstarter, then from that perspective, I'm getting the next several years of content I'm hoping are coming, right?
I don't know if this is anyone from Kickstarter here, by the way?
Like they'd say anything now, right?
All right.
Like, oh, he's about to dish.
Well, no. I remember that I could have sworn that one of the things I had read, which I know this for a fact, was that one of the reasons Kickstarter initially started was to try and get Arrested Development back on the air. Like that was like one of the core thoughts.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like one of the founders was like, yeah, this is
What an honorable cause.
I know, exactly. But it's like, now think about that idea, right?
Yeah.
And think about what is closer to the message of, all right, well, we're going to, for instance, I purchased again, like I even use the term, I purchased, or I supported this campaign in which I received a case that disinfects your phone. Shut up, all right? For those of you that don't know, I'm like an ultra germaphobe, but not like in the way of, creepy.
Oh, not in the crazy way of wanting to disinfect your phone.
Not in the creepy crawly way of like, oh, germs. It's more of like, I can't afford to get sick. Like it's so disruptive to my life and to Penny Arcade and to everything that I cannot afford to get sick. So I'm constantly disinfecting my hands. I don't mind like shaking hands and saying hi to people. I prefer it than the fist bumping thing. I mean, it is. But I just had like Purell dispensers, automatic Purell dispensers installed all over the office.
Oh yeah.
I am constantly carrying disinfectant. I have a fishbowl full of disinfectant in my office. If you've ever seen the videos.
A lot of people have candy.
Yeah, I understand. But how does that benefit me?
Oh, even worse. Then you've got all their germy hands in your candy. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha.
What were we talking about? I'm sorry.
Kickstarter.
Oh, so the idea that the ethos of the original Kickstarter concept and looking at that versus like the store model, and then looking at ours, I don't know. I think that the Kickstarter at Penny Arcade was much closer to the original idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think now that you've explained, especially if you explain it like that, it becomes one of those things where you can see that it's a support model.
Yeah.
It's not a storefront.
No,
like you
not.
said. So last kind of question on the Kickstarter then. We've already talked about doing it again and restructuring, but I mean, objectively speaking, stepping back, it was a pretty bold thing to do, generated a lot of comment.
Yeah.
Your verdict, success,
Oh,
success?
absolutely a success. The idea that, and this is what I love, is that the idea that a media company, and honestly, what broke my heart about all of it was that Giant Bomb didn't see it before everything went down. This would have been, I think, a perfect thing for those guys.
That is so true.
And
that is absolutely true.
It broke my heart to see them get acquired by CBS before the idea of this had come to them, because not relying on advertisers and relying on a fan base is a very powerful thing. And to be, sorry, it hurts now. But to be dependent only on one particular group of folks makes your content, your message, everything so much more powerful. And the way that we work on our side, of course, is that we flip the tables and say everything that we do is still is still dedicated to the reader, like even the advertising, like it's for the reader. But yeah, I wish that I wish that they had discovered it, and I hope that other companies, other media companies, small ones and large ones alike, are able to learn from this and say, hey, you know what, it is possible. And I'm not sure if you saw, did you see OkCupid switch to something similar
Yes,
to
I
this?
did, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. So, I mean, do you think it was more of a success because you actually didn't hit, like you can keep sort of part of the ad model, which is kind of insurance if you think about it, but you get to still do a lot of the things that you wouldn't have gotten to do otherwise. You kind of hit in the middle, right?
I mean, I think that no matter what, we're still doing the same amount of work. Like,
sure.
Without a doubt. Like, all the ad guys are being shifted over to the content to more content stuff for time that they're not spending selling ads. But again, at the end of the day, it was an experiment. It was an experiment, and it was a very successful experiment in the sense that clearly there are a group of people that do not like the ads. Clearly, there are a group of people that want to support Penny Arcade via this model of fan funding versus corporate funding. And yeah, absolutely, it was a success.
I think let's talk PAX. This thing.
All right,
that
this
you
thing.
do. You guys made some announcements.
Sure.
Which, for those who didn't hear, we'll start off with the one I find probably most impactful to me is that you're going to do PAX Prime for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Which, because, I mean, we have a problem here,
Yeah.
right? I think. Like, I have to stand in line way too long for my crepes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's getting out of hand. But what I wanted to talk about was why you think just adding an extra day might help alleviate. Of course, the root problem, and we've talked about this a million times, is that Seattle, not really a convention-known town like some
Sure.
other towns like New Orleans or Atlanta or Las Vegas, where they can hold these, 150, 200,000 type of convention. So Seattle probably will never grow past that certain point where it is today. What does the fourth day bring?
Well, so taking the question back and talking about the idea of how quickly badges sold out this year, because this is a fundamental problem where, as everyone knows, badges sold out within 3 days. The 3-day badges sold out within 22 hours. It was insane. And then everyone started saying, oh yeah, clearly you sold everything to the scalpers. Oh, clearly, you didn't sell any to the consumers themselves. Oh, you know what? I'm really angry. Why don't you fix the registration system? Why don't you do a lottery? Why don't you open it up at different times? And I understand the frustration, all right? But here's the fundamental problem. The fundamental problem is that these buildings collectively fit between 60 and 70,000 people. And there are, I would guesstimate, between 150 to 170,000 people that want to come to PAX.
Right.
And so no matter what I do, whether it's a raffle or whether it is, tiered sessions or, tiered sale times, I will always be pissing off 100,000 people. There's just no way around it. And so the idea is that, okay, well, I can either decrease demand, which is to make the show shittier. and right, I mean, like, honestly, like, you decrease demand by making the show worse, so by having people want it less, or I can increase supply. But
did increasing supply, I think the problem that's illustrated with PAX East is people go to both now.
Well, I mean, the crossover is actually less than you think. The crossover is only about 7 to 8%.
Really?
Yeah, you'd be shocked.
But
So out of curiosity, how many people here go to PAX East? This is clearly this is a hardcore crowd, though. I mean, like,
they're here to see you.
This is
They're here this morning to see you.
This particular segment, obviously, is very motivated by Penny Arcade. Like,
Sure.
if you even know who I am, period, it means that you are probably a very hardcore fan.
You walked into that one. You just.
I just need self-validation.
I know. I know.
And the idea that, okay, well, there are gonna be a lot of people that can't go all 4 days, which is fine because, again, we want more people to be able to experience PAX. And, there's gonna be a few format changes here and there.
Well, I wanted to ask about opportunities to help peanut butter out, that group of people over the 4 days, right, to spread it out. I mean, have you thought about things? And you may have thought about these and don't want to talk about them just yet, but ideas like only selling 1 and 2 day passes, no 4-day passes, no 3-day passes, and then duplicating some of the content on the latter 2 days. Or having an expo only pass, because I know there's people who only live on the expo floor. They're not even aware there are panels.
I don't like so I don't mind the doing away with the 4-day pass, because all of a sudden that's like a very expensive proposition.
Sure.
But I don't like the idea of doing a content-only pass, which is because there's never any accidental cross-pollination. And I think that a lot of people, and I think Mike talked about this in their Q&A, which was that he discovered tabletop on a whim. Essentially, like, he wasn't looking to discover tabletop. And then through, our, not necessarily at PAX, but just like within our circles and whatnot, he turned from a very hardcore video gamer to clearly, like, very, very hardcore tabletop guy.
Yeah.
Like, it is in his blood now. And he wants that, and all of us want that to happen, to be able to happen to everyone else. So even if you're just like, I'm a hardcore expo guy,
So for 2 years, you've been only going to the expo floor. You don't want to lock out that opportunity that 1 year you go.
they
What's
step
on the
in-
6th floor?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. They
Yeah.
step up there, or they walk into console free play and they meet some people there. I mean, that's really important to us.
I see. And I think that makes sense. Let's talk a little bit about Australia.
Okay.
Australia.
All right, how many people here are thinking of going to Australia? You see, this is not. You see, very different.
It's a long ride, guys.
Yeah.
I've been there. It's a long plane ride.
Wait, actually, wait a minute. How many people here traveled from Australia?
Okay.
All right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, so unless I missed something, it's Australia and sometime in 2013.
That
correct?
is what we have said.
Because it seems like, I'm just throwing it out here, that Australia is big.
Well,
It's a big place.
It's big, but those that travel will tell you that there are only a few spots where this makes sense.
True, really far away from each other spots in some cases. And where I think about the timing, it's like, okay, 2013. Well, okay, you've stated in September of 2012 that this big thing is going to happen in 2013, which I happen to know means it's not happening any sooner than June of 2013. So do you want to provide more scope to the timing? Not a month, but is it winter 2013 or... Actually, wait, I got to think about the fact that Australia's seasons are different.
Yep.
But do you want to scope a season at least?
Here, I'll tell you what. I will not scope a season. I will give you this statement, which is that you will have to make some hard decisions.
You will have to make some hard decisions. I'm not going to speculate. I like that answer quite a bit. That means you're saying I'm going to have to make some choices about how I spend my time in 2013.
And I want everyone to know that I'm specifically talking to Steptoe.
Great, we're going to have a conversation backstage. That's awesome.
Nope.
All right. Well, that's what I kind of wanted to tease out, because I think so. Why? I can think of a million reasons, but why Australia?
Why Australia? So, we are always looking at other markets that we're not currently serving. I mean, clearly the United States, the East Coast, West Coast is served. I mean, there's no secret that we look at PAX South every now and then, and we've talked openly about possibly looking at PAX Europe, that sort of thing. But Australia, it's really interesting. Like, we've been looking at Australia for a long time, and it's never really came on anyone's radar to ask us about it. Like,
Really?
Yeah, like no one ever was like, everyone always asks about UK, but we've been looking at Australia for a while.
Nobody asks about Australia. I mean, it just seems like it makes so much sense on so many levels. That's just me throwing it out there.
Why are you asking me the question then? You just
Because
said, like,
because I thought honestly you were going to say that there was unexpected demand, or it just made sense.
well,
to
we
you.
know that there's a large gaming culture down there. Do you know what the population of Australia is?
I do not.
Take a wild stab.
I was going to go 8, but a few tens of millions. I mean, I know it's a vast place, but it's not.
It's only
Largely
20, it's only 22 million people.
22 million.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Canada is 40, I think. 36. And, but it's really interesting because a lot of this stem from conversations with the Rooster Teeth guys many years ago, when they would constantly tell me about how incredible their trips to Australia were.
Oh yeah.
And just how rabid the fan base was there. And to me, that's sort of what planted the seed. And from there, after we did a lot of research, my God, gaming culture down there is definitely huge. I mean, there are a lot of problems with the gaming culture down there. Like the idea that retail games, and keep in mind, like the Australian dollar is essentially on par with the United States right now. Australian games, retail console games, cost like $120. All right.
I believe that's the source of a lot of Yahtzee's anger.
Yeah. And the idea that consoles cost, how much do consoles cost over there? $300 or $400. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, we're talking like Neo
Even today,
Geo
yeah.
era,
Yeah.
And, but it's interesting because despite all of those barriers to gaming, to the lifestyle of gaming, it's still very, very hardcore over there. So, we're really excited to go.
One of the other things that made sense to me, like I said, just thinking about it myself, that most people may not think about is sort of that fact that PAX fits in perfectly as a fan-oriented place to be. It is not a developer or publisher-oriented place to be.
Yeah.
You can be there, and that's fine, but what struck me about Australia was how crazy messed up the developer publishing scenario is down there in terms of a lot of people are struggling. But the game, the people are there.
Yeah.
And so that mixture of bringing them together will be fascinating, I think. And I didn't know if it factored in or not, and that's why I wanted to ask.
All right.
So, all right, let's talk a little bit more about PAX Prime. Well, actually, it's a PAX thing in general, I suppose. I want to talk about the concerts.
Okay.
I want to talk about you guys have taken what a lot of cons would think of as an afterthought and kind of made it into the place people want to be,
Yeah.
right? I mean, last night there was somebody who said, well, if I can't get into the concerts, I guess I'll go to Notch's party. Like, that was their backup, right? That was their, I guess I'll go there. So what I wanted to ask was, given sort of the breadth of talent out there, and when we think about, geek musicians and that type of thing, why are the PAX concerts almost universally a sausage fest? I mean, come on. You've got Molly Lewis, local, you got the Double Clicks in this area. Artists like Marion Call or Jen Wood. What's up with the Paul? I mean, I love Paul and Storm. They're my friends.
All right.
But
so
but,
you're
but
trying to
5 or
tell
6
me,
years straight of a 20-minute long build-up to a body fluid joke.
So you're trying to tell me you want me to swap out Paul and Storm for the Double Clicks?
I didn't say a thing.
Because keep in mind that this is a zero-sum game, sir.
Not with a fourth day.
It's true, but I do have to.
So that's what I actually want to ask about in my roundabout, sarcastic way. What I really want to ask you, what's the process?
What's the process?
Because it has been it's fair to say it's been a static lineup the past couple of years.
We try to maintain. This is the problem for me. Like, I can't. Like, all these guys I love, and I know that everyone at PAX also loves them, right? So let's just look at the lineup. In fact, you know what? You're Robert. Hey, what's up, Robert?
Who would I care?
How's it feel?
It feels pretty good, but
Yeah.
can I hand the Purell?
Here you go.
Thanks.
So, Robert.
Go on.
Tell
listening.
me.
No, I'm listening.
Tell me, who should we get rid of in our lineup in order to add another amazing act, such as the Double Clicks?
I think you should
Yeah? Who?
give it careful consideration,
Yeah?
longer than I have time for.
God, you're such a pussy, Robert. Come on. Give me the answer. Just fucking...
You know what? I would go ahead in the lineup and I would just universally take out the first act and try that. And bring in some variety. It doesn't have to be the Double Clicks. The Sausage Fest was a sarcastic comment. But the variety, it's like the Jimmy Buffett problem, right? Jimmy Buffett plays a concert and he has to play the same 12 songs. If he doesn't, people will say it was a terrible Jimmy Buffett concert.
So who opened on Saturday again? That was Friday, right?
It was Friday. It was Paul and Storm.
So
Why does Rob? Now let me ask you a question. Why does Robert have? Maybe that's part of the problem. Why does Robert have to make that decision? Right? Why couldn't that be would you guys like to see more variety in the concerts? Like I said, with a fourth day at PAX, that actually opens you up. I'm not sure you have to cut Saturday night from its current lineup. You could add a Sunday night concert.
Well,
or swap people out.
Let's talk about East then, which is still 3 days then. Let's say that solution isn't there, which it isn't.
Could add a Sunday night concert if you wanted to.
No, I couldn't.
If people provided feedback on it, what would be the process? My question, I guess, essentially is, what is the process? How do you go about it? Is it just now that you know it's working? And I can't blame you for that, because I was here last night. The place was packed, and I'm not joking. People literally make decisions based on whether or not they're going to be able to get into the concert.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's
so you're
not,
successful. I can't complain.
This dialogue that we are having right now is the same tension that we have internally about it, which is that it's not easy. And
Yeah.
there is no set process. There's no community vote. There's no internal vote. It's always, God, you know, what makes sense? What makes sense in these people's schedules? You know, what makes sense as far as what is new out there? Like, I knew that I like Sam Hart was my personal addition. Like, I wanted Sam here, and you know, that's a new addition. And we're gonna always try to probably swap 1 or 2 acts out a year and then add more. But there are some folks that I never want to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't ever want to get rid of MC Front a lot. I don't ever want to get rid of, like, I don't want to ever get rid of Joko. You know, I mean, like, I can't, like, so how do I to make that all work on
Yeah.
the board? Lunchtime concert series. All right. We're working on things for East, though. I promise. Like, I mean, for Prime next year, that will shake things up a little bit. I promise.
Cool. We're nearing the point where we want to let people ask you questions, so I'll finish off with sort of the final one. At PAX East, I asked Robert that if he suddenly found himself, it was a convoluted question, but if he found himself suddenly and completely incapacitated, let's just say it involved something with Jerry, that's as far as we'll go. You know, his successor, he's no longer able to run the business of Penny Arcade. He's out of the picture. His successor walks in. There's an envelope on the desk, and it is filled with Robert's advice to his successor. Now, in that moment, by the way, you revealed something that I think you should reveal to this audience too.
Which is, I do actually have a I'm dead plan. Like, there is. We have there's this whole 15-step process as well as a document that lays out everything and who they need to call if I'm in fact dead. And I always remind people of this in case I'm traveling and whatnot.
Right.
And the worst part is that Kiko, are you here? No worries. So Kiko is our internal Debbie Downer. And he is the only person that subscribes to the change log. So anytime I make a change to it, which is always, he always gets to it. And he just gets really depressed, and he'll just send me emails like,
something's happening.
He's like, is something going on? Are you He'll be like, are you sick? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I just need to update.
Keeping the plan up to
date.
date.
I need to update the numbers, all right?
You know, there was a Kickstarter thing I got to update.
Exactly.
You know, if something happened. One of the things I found fascinating about that revelation was that apparently one of the entries is avenge Robert's death. And the reason that was great was at East, everybody from Penny Arcade was in the first 2 rows, and they were just so excited to have input into this question because they have plans.
Yeah.
They have, it's not something they haven't thought about how to avenge his death. But that was process, right? That was what to do process-wise. But
Sure.
you answered a wonderful portion that I was like, what is the advice? What would you say to the person that is the spirit of Penny Arcade? What would you say if you couldn't do this, then do the following things?
I can't remember exactly what I answered to you, to be honest.
It was...
But, I mean, I can tell you what.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't imagine it'd be different.
well, I mean, philosophically, I go into work every day and I love it. Like, you have no idea what you guys do for my life personally, and I want to thank you for that. Like, it is incredible to be able to walk in and wake up every morning excited for, I don't even want to call it work. It literally is just wake up every day excited for my life. And thank you. And for all of us, and again, this is my letter to my successor here, which is that for everyone that works here, we are the same way. Keep in mind that everything that you're doing is for the readership. Everything you're doing is for our fans. And if you cannot satisfy both of those groups in that same manner, like as far as being dedicated to the fans while still enjoying your lives 100%, cash out. Like, I'm not saying sell the company. I'm saying take all the assets, cash out, split it amongst yourselves, and go about. Because it would be soul crushing to work on something as special as I think Penny Arcade is, and to not enjoy it like every waking minute. Like, it would just be a shame. And I think that everyone at Penny Arcade feels the same way. Like, I hope so.
They called him Dad.
Some of them do.
Some of them call it. Mike and Jerry probably don't call you.
Yeah, probably not.
No, that was exactly the answer.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. So at this point, we probably want to give you guys a little bit of time to talk to Robert. Thank you so much for the opportunity to do this again. Unfortunately, he's kind of told me, like, this is the last time I'm doing this, you know, because he didn't like my title of, you know, Q&A 3, a good day to coup hard. But I'm sure you're going to remain available to everyone for any questions that they have in general.
Sure.
Because that's what your thing is, walking the floor.
Sure, but I will say, like, literally, this is the last time I'm doing this.
I know you were serious.
At least, I will certainly, this is the last time I'm doing this at Prime. I might do it, like, you know, if we do it in Australia once more time, but, like, yeah.
Cool.
This is your opportunity. Yes, sir.
Hey, Goob. All right. 2 quick questions. First is, what's the worst, like, business decision or proposition you've had to deal with at Penny Arcade? Like, maybe someone coming to you guys and asking you, like, you know, will you do this? Or, like, you having to deal with maybe Mike and Jerry trying to come up with some scheme or something like that. Like, what's the worst thing you've had to deal with?
This is so weird. We had the same
We had the
question.
same question.
So I'll give you the answer that I gave at East, which was that we were pitched a theme park. No joke. Like a full-fledged theme park. Like, with a PowerPoint deck and everything. And what's really weird is that Mike and Jerry don't remember it.
Oh, really?
Like, in the morning of the next Q&A, they essentially said that I was lying.
Wow.
And that, like, that had never happened. But
You'd think they'd remember a pitch
this
for, like-
actually happened. Like, they literally was like a fruit fucker roller coaster.
Yeah.
Everything.
Like, how do you forget
Was
that?
it like a professional theme park company, or like? Did they
Yeah,
have
it was a design team that does theme parks, and they wanted like a whole like expo hall specifically for PAX, and it was crazy. And
They were probably so
You said
excited,
no?
too.
I don't know why you did. I'm just saying that fruit fucker coaster.
they wanted us to fund it, so that wasn't happening. So no, no,
Thanks.
problem.
Hello. A quick leading question. How cut off are you from the world right now? Is your cell phone off? Is radio off?
Believe it or not, I'm completely unplugged right now. At East, I could not do that actually.
Oh, that was right. You couldn't.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
That, but
because of the timing.
at Prime,
In fact, you got a call in the middle.
yeah.
Yeah, he got a call in the middle of our
But
Q&A.
in Prime, Sunday morning is very smooth. So this is why this time was chosen.
Okay. Yeah. So that pretty much was my question. How did you find time to do this panel? Did you spend years training someone for this 1 hour of
Who's
fires that
running
might
the
go off?
show while we're in here?
I mean, believe it or not, like the team that runs PAX is not only you know the team of internal staff of about probably 12 people that run it, like on site here, but there's also 600 incredible enforcers that have had literally 12 shows of knowledge now that they've built up and internalized and are able to share with the show itself. So it runs pretty smooth now. I mean, there's always a bunch of smaller fires and whatnot that I have to put out, but fundamentally, especially Sunday morning, it's smooth.
We probably want to actually, at this point, give a hand to the enforcers. Cause
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Hi, I got a chance to talk to you yesterday, and I had one more question that I forgot to ask you. It's not so bad this year, but the previous couple of years, I was having a hard time getting into some of the panels and the Q&As and talking to people. And I was wondering if you guys, and I've already asked this question once before to Mike and Jerry, but have you ever considered like filming all the different panels and then selling a PAX TV, like DVD of all the panels that happened for that season? So that people like on the West Coast can see East and maybe Australia and such.
You know, we did DVDs every year for a while in which we would package up, especially some of like the more high-profile content, and we stopped doing that after. I mean, first of all, year over year they sold okay, and you know we would never break even on them, which is fine because we were able to distribute them. But then at some point we said to ourselves, okay, well let's make one DVD that we're really really proud of, and just you know that's the one we're going to go out on. And then like 4 years later, okay, we finally were able to do that because with the PAX 2009 DVD set, we thought it was perfect, and we're like, all right, done. So that's why we don't do the DVD set. But as far as the logistics and the cost and expense of filming, taping, editing, and then rebroadcasting or restreaming, whatever you want to call it, just honestly, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Really, because like the 2009 one, it didn't have all the stuff that I wanted to see that I wasn't able to make it into.
Sure, because it would have made it even more expensive.
Well, and I get that, and I was just wondering, you know, so you have considered and you've tried to make that work, and it just.
I mean, now our solution is to take a lot of the high-profile content, and we're continuing to expand this and actually stream it. Like this year, we're
streaming right now, actually.
Yeah, we're streaming right now on Twitch TV, and right now there's 2 streams, and we'll continue to expand that, which means that it's also archived, so you can look at it. But again, like comes down to a cost. Like cameras do cost things. A crew does cost things.
Oh yeah, I get that. I
yeah.
just wanted to ask that. Thank
Yep,
you.
no problem.
So along the lines of the last question that Stepto was asking about working in the office and the passion and everything, I think for a lot of us, you know, watching the PATV series, you know, we really at least get a glimpse into what that life is like, and at least ideally, you know, we'd like to share in that, you know, in some way. So can you give us a story of something crazy that's happened in the office recently, or that is like the moment that kind of defines what it's like to live in the PA?
Crazy's probably relative. At your office.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
thinking.
God, what is the weirdest thing that has happened in the last?
Most unexpected and crazy. Someone's office gets filled with jelly beans or something.
Don't think it'd be jelly beans. Probably something terrible.
Let's see here.
Purell?
The Pepsi can is still in Erica's office. I won. She lost. But God, the weirdest thing that has happened, or the office culture thing. Oh well, I mean, I guess that what has happened recently was that everyone is aware of the ping pong ladder, and there was Jeff Cowles, who I think he's one of our sales guys. He has the worst temper of the whole office, and he quit, but he wanted to get back in, and then I made him play with essentially like a block of wood for 2 straight weeks, and he tried, and he had to hit a challenge up. It was really frustrating. And then a week ago, this is okay. So this is an interesting story on the side, which is that Penny Arcade was randomly selected for a fucking audit 2.5 weeks ago, and so like it has been a nightmare. It is like the worst experience. Okay, so you hear about how bad an audit is, a government audit is. It's worse. Like, I thought that they were just like stories. Oh my God. And like, it could not have come at a worse time.
Oh
okay?
no.
And so, like, no joke, and I'm gonna go into this story, which is not interesting at all, but like they took like our accounting stuff and they were like, all right, great, perfect. And then they looked through all of it, and then they came back and they literally just gave me a list of 2,000 individual transactions and said, prove it. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, literally things from like 2007, okay? And no joke, it's like 2 a.m. on a Thursday, 2.5 weeks ago, and I am looking for a $8 receipt for an MP3 that I purchased. And I am just screaming, okay? So anyway, this is all going on. And by the way, it's still happening. Like literally, I
Oh,
went back
no.
to the office like on Friday night to get like audit paperwork to, and the phase 1 portion of it ends on next Friday. And anyway, it's horrible. But I was so pissed off at all this that I was playing Kiko, I think. He challenged me, and I lost. And I got so angry. I was like, I fucking quit. I'm done with this shit. And I quit ping pong. I'm done. I'm never playing again. And I'm usually not like a rage quitter either. But again, I think that everything between PAX and the audit and me losing at ping pong really just pissed me off. Anyway, so I was like, all right, I want back in. And everyone was like, all right, well, you know the drill.
You know the drill.
So for the last 2 weeks, I've been I've been challenging up the ladder, playing with this block of wood paddle essentially. But I've been dominating, okay? So
Yeah, I bet they regret making you do that.
I'm currently number 5, I think. So, but thank God that 2 weeks ends tomorrow. So yeah, definitely I'm looking forward to that. Jeff quit? Yes. Jeff quit. Jeff quit again. I love it. I
If
love
there's
it.
anything that made me feel better about a government audit, it's Jeff quitting ping
Yeah.
pong.
Hey, so I had some questions about the PAX announcements, but I think those were pretty much covered in any details you're probably going to reveal. So I was going to ask, was PAX Australia supposed to be announced? Because Gabe just kind of threw it out there on Friday. Sometimes I wonder how many things they say are things you actually wanted them to say. I would guess that's probably relatively rare, but you know.
No, you would think that we run a very tight ship.
I don't.
Okay, great. Then we're on the
I've
same
heard enough
page
stories
here,
over the
we're
years.
on the same page here because no, very often they will say things that were supposed to be a secret or something. And when I say supposed to be a secret, usually it's not because I want to keep it a secret. It's more of like, all right, we have all these players and third parties that
Yeah,
are relying
Tycho
on
actually
you.
did it yesterday at the trial strip.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's out of the bag. The loading ready run guys are actually the film crew and the producers for Strip Search.
Yeah.
And it's like the test footage they sent us has been awesome, and we are so excited for that. But anyway, to answer your question, yes, it was supposed to be announced if the right question was asked.
So that's what he was referring to on Twitter then?
Yeah, like
Okay.
pretty much we're like, all right, if it happens organically. But I think that Mike really wanted it to happen because pretty much I'm pretty sure anyone needed to say was, what question were you, what did you
What
mean
question
for
would you
me
like
to
to
ask?
Or any Australian walking up to the mic and just being like, hi, and he'd probably have said it.
Exactly. I completely agree.
Yeah. All right, cool, thanks.
Thanks. So,
So, Robert, why aren't Mike and Jerry allowed to have their game store?
I don't know. Maybe if they pushed hard enough, they probably could make it happen. But I would be against it just because as far as time concerns and knowing that just is going to spill over onto me anyway. So
It's like the old when the kid gets the puppy, it has to take care of it, but
Like-
the parent ends up taking care of it.
like when I grew up, I worked retail until I was 18 or so, and no thanks. What's up?
Okay, I need you to go way back in your memory banks here, if you could. So the curiosity of your meeting with Mike and Jerry is just like mind-bending to me.
Okay.
So first off, I was curious what were kind of, if you can talk about it, what were kind of their page views at when you first joined with them, and then also when you approached them with a business model, what was that first item on that list that you had to get that business to turn into a business?
They were doing about 9 million page views a month at the time. I mean, keep in mind, like currently we, across all of our stuff, we do between 65 and 75 million, I think, right now. And as far as the first item was the advertising, because we were already paying for everything to have that happen, right? Like we were already paying for the bandwidth, for the page view, for the comic and everything. Like the idea of, hey, we will add another, image here, and you will give us money. That's a very high margin business, and that made the most sense initially. Step 2 was the merchandising stuff.
Okay. Thanks.
Bro.
Hey, Robert. Thanks for doing this Q&A. One of my favorite things about PATV is seeing your decision-making process and how you deal with people. So I wanted to ask, who are the people that have influenced those traits in you in your formative years?
Oh, wow.
Real or fictional?
Real or fictional? Yeah. Influenced me. You know, I really hate to say this because I'm actually very, very, at this moment in my life at least, you know, we'll see how things go, but very anti-Apple, all right? But I can tell you that Steve Jobs was absolutely an influence to me as far as a business guy. Like, I wrote so many papers about him in college and in high school, and like, I always knew I was going to be a business guy, without a doubt. I remember the only time I've ever been like starstruck in the sense of not knowing what to say was when I ran into him once, and that, yeah, I mean, without a doubt, he was, you know, he was probably the biggest influence as far as having a vision, sticking to it, believing in yourself, and not necessarily compromising on things that you believed in. I mean, it's okay to compromise on stupid things, but like as far as like big picture ideas, like if you really think something is right, yeah, you should shoot for it.
Cool. Thanks.
No problem.
Hello, sir.
Hey.
So to Steptoe's point on the static layout of the concerts, I can only begin to imagine the nuance of telling this audience, of telling an artist that someone we're used to isn't coming back. But is it necessarily to their detriment to miss a year? Is it possible the audience will appreciate them more when they come back a year or two later? And possibly you get the same cross-pollination, you get a random combination where we see a new artist that turns out to be really popular. Can we make a new artist really popular?
Like I was saying, Steptoe, I do think it is a zero-sum game in all levels. It's like, for instance, the bands do really well on the merch side here. Like, they do really well in merch sales. Like, that's how they fund them being artists. And saying you can't come essentially says, I'm kind of kicking you in the balls as far as like revenue for your year. And again, it's a really hard conversation to have.
So yesterday we heard a couple stories about Mike and Jerry's ideas that would be shot down by you, and I was wondering if you've ever had an idea that was shot down by them.
No, I mean, keep in mind, it's not like all my ideas are gold or anything. It's just like I present them very few ideas that haven't been really fleshed out. Like, I probably only present them probably 3 or 4 ideas a year. And usually those turn into conversations which evolve into other discussions. And a lot of my ideas come from trying to solve problems as opposed to trying to create new things. So that is always like, all right, well, something needs to be addressed. This is the best way I think that it should be addressed. So let me think about that throughout this Q&A as far as like a bad idea that I've pitched them.
You meant right now you're going to think about it. No, go ahead. You're good.
I'm really good at my job. What can I say?
So about 3 years ago at a Tycho and Gabe Q&A, I said, hey, let's get Robert Koo up there to answer some questions. So I'm really happy to see you're doing this. I think 3 years ago you actually fled the room at the time.
I did. I remember.
So again, appreciate that. I am curious, it's actually sort of related to the previous question. They were up there yesterday and they said, yeah, hey, we wanted a game store. And Robert said, no, that's just silly. So given that sort of veto power that you have, how do you maintain sort of a cooperative, I don't know, meritocracy, I guess, of ideas within your organization?
You know, it's so weird. So I mean, I'm quote unquote the president of Penny Arcade, and everything sort of leads up to me in terms of, especially like project and financial veto power. But at the end of the day, Mike and Jerry are my board of directors. Like, at any time, they could just fire me if they wanted to. Like literally, they could. And but we've been working together for just over 10 years now, and we have a really incredible relationship of trust. And they know that if I'm saying no to something, it's because I think it would hurt the grand scope of what Penny Arcade is. And our deal is that, all right, Robert, you give us the ability to create things, and you give us the ability to do whatever we want, essentially, and we trust you to run the business side. And I mean, clearly, the results have been pretty good, so I've got a really good track record, so that helps a lot. I mean, if I had fucked up multiple times, like over and over, we would be having a very different conversation, and my answer would be very different. I probably wouldn't be here. But yeah, I mean, it works really, really well. It's crazy.
Thanks, and I hope you consider doing this every couple of years.
Oh, thanks.
So a question on timing. I saw on the house lights we still do have plenty of people answering. Can you stay a little long?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to stick around for a little longer to answer questions.
So we have enough time to grant a 30-minute extension. If we get through the line faster, that's fine. So just to let you know, that's happening. But what's going on backstage here behind this curtain with JPL, you're going to want to see later on today. So we do want to give them plenty of time to set up because, oh my God, it's awesome. But with that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but we work for timing.
So I was wondering if you had any words of wisdom or advice for someone just getting started in management and business.
In management and business. It's really easy to look at an Excel sheet and say, all right, this makes sense. All right, this Excel sheet makes sense. All the numbers add up. But it's much harder to look at a number and see the impact that makes on people, on brand, and on just small things that collectively make a difference to whatever you're doing. And I think that's why it's really important to get your hands dirty on everything, so you understand the process. It's really interesting. So when I was in college, I was trying to be, like, this is really funny. I was trying to be recruited by Frito-Lay, like the chip company, all right? And I remember them telling me, hey, you know what? The first 6 months of your job, you're driving a truck. Like, you're literally driving, even though this was like a management job, it was like you were going to be driving a Frito-Lay truck. And
it's the equivalent of having to play ping pong with a block of wood.
But you're driving a Frito-Lay truck, and I remember at first I was like, God, I mean, you're paying me, a salaried rate to be driving a Frito-Lay truck. Doesn't make any sense. And then I realized over time, and especially now, like, how much that makes a difference. And that's also why, like, I will never stop doing things. Like, a lot of people are like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that one thing? Why are you managing that line? Why are you talking to people, like, on an individual basis? Why are you the guy that has to order the gaff tape for PAX? It's because I really don't want to lose touch with that. I think that's really, really important and a big part to any business person's success.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey. So firstly, I just wanted to say, as someone that flies out from London, makes this one of my holidays, I'm quite happy to buy a 4-day pass.
Okay, okay.
So then my question was, you're obviously building up a great team to run PAX, but I'm guessing you still put a hell of a lot of time and effort into it yourself. As it expands to Australia and hopefully to other places, how are you going to be able to manage your time to kind of make it what you want it to be, or are you going to be able to take a step back so that it can become something larger?
Sure. So think of something like Splinter Cell. All right, the game Splinter Cell. All right, okay. They have. I think the two teams that work on it are Montreal and what's the other one?
I can't remember the other one. Because I always get it mixed up with the other properties.
Well, anyway, they essentially have an A team and a B team that are always working on the next Splinter Cell. And the idea is that, sure, it takes 5 years to develop a Splinter Cell, but when you have from start to finish game A, and then from start to finish game B, you're always able to launch every 2.5 years. And so we're actually splitting up our team internally to be like, all right, everyone is still going to help out on site, but as far as like the core planning mechanics, we have an A team and a B team that handles things like content, speakers, exhibitors, sales, that sort of thing. So ideally, that's how it's going to work.
And then just quickly, is there a reason behind why there's no first-party stuff at the merchandise booth?
We want first party is really like this is like our first party shell, for instance.
Yeah, no,
and,
I'm super excited to come out and be able to buy stuff. So.
It's first party is like really, really important to us as far as like making sure that the branding is right and everything. And we're not ready to launch a physical store of it. Like we want to make sure that experience is right, and we're just not there yet. And so we feel it's kind of wrong to just throw it into our T-shirt shelf things, and I apologize for making you fly all the way out here and then not giving you the opportunity to purchase it. But yeah, that's the answer.
Hi.
Yep.
So this question's maybe a little bit personal, so I apologize. You don't have to answer. But
All
I
right.
think it is actually going to be relevant to people who work 70, 80 hours a week, which I imagine is quite a few of us. So on the show, on Penny Arcade TV, and even today, you talk about how this job really is your life and how you spend so much of your time and expend so much of your energy on this business. I was wondering how you find, or if you are able to find time for romantic relationships. Like if there will ever be a Mrs. Koo. Like is that a thing that you're able to find balance in your life, or is that even a priority for you?
I think that it is possible. I do not think, but so.
I can't help you on this one. I can't help you on this one.
No, I can tell you that I've made a lot of sacrifices in my life to make Penny Arcade as good as it is, and I willingly do that. And I'm not complaining about it. Like it's my choice, it's my decision, and I don't think that. Honestly, I don't think that for most people that trying to find a balance is realistic. I really don't think it's realistic. I personally do not think, and this is going to sound really horrible, but I don't believe in the institution of marriage, and I don't think that works long term. I can't. I guess yes, I was that guy. I just think
no marriage.
I think that especially for a person trying to commit 100% of their life to making something as good as it can be, how can you commit 100% when you don't actually have 100% of your time?
Fair enough.
I'm sorry if that is not the answer you wanted to hear.
You've broken my heart.
I know.
I'm going to go home and cry a lot.
Just gently
Thank you. I
sob in the
appreciate the
shower.
honest answer.
All right. Thank you.
So I want to ask you the same thing I asked Mike and Jerry during the Q&A. I think it's a very important question. In all the years of doing Penny Arcade, the expo particularly, what is the worst breakfast you have ever had?
Oh, the worst breakfast I've ever had. I don't know. I don't eat breakfast at PAX. Sorry. Like there's, you understand, like Josh and I, he's our office manager. He acts as my assistant for PAX. He's like my right hand here. Yesterday, we ate lunch. The day before, Josh, you here? Yeah. What did we eat yesterday? The day before that? We ate dinner at midnight. That was the only meal we had. Like, it's not great. So I would say all of them are horrible.
All right.
All right. Yes.
I wanted to start off first by saying last night we had our Cookie Brigade panel, and even though it wasn't as well attended as we'd hoped, there was a lot of praise to be said about you there in your support for Cookie Brigade. So I wanted to say thank you because, you know, without you, we couldn't be as effective as we are.
Yeah, I want to give everyone just notice here. Like, I want everyone to give props to Cookie Brigade for everything that they do. Like, they raise. And for those that don't know, I don't know about Cookie Brigade because it is super against all of our contracts to have something like that around. And so whenever someone tries to talk to me about Cookie Brigade, like in the center, I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, Cookie Brigade is awesome, and they raise an incredible amount of money they raise an incredible amount of money for Child's Play. They do they act as live entertainment. They're incredible. Like, everything they do at PAX is awesome, and anything that you can do to support them, please do. But anyway, yes.
Well, in continuance of supporting Child's Play, I'm also a big fan of Desert Bus, which everybody is preparing for right now. As a matter of fact, I'm quite a large supporter of Desert Bus.
You were purchased.
No, this is my design.
Oh.
I made you, crew.
Oh, thank you. The chibi.
Chibi Crew
Can anyone see this on the screen or whatever?
Can we get that on the
Chibi
screen?
Crew shirt?
She may have to come forward.
And this is the last shirt, which it is my personal gift from Kristen for making it, and I would like you to sign it so I can re-enter it into Desert Bus.
Oh, wow.
To give back to Child's Play.
Fantastic,
And this
please.
is the shirt. I met you the other day on Thursday, and I was like, oh, my shirt.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. After this panel, find me, and we'll get that all taken care of.
Thank you so much, crew.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I really think this is similar to the guy with the curiosity question about the line items. Is there any way that we would get perhaps that business proposal, even if censored, released? Because I really would like to see what a young budding coup saw in the webcomics video game industry 10 years ago when so many other companies were stumbling across themselves just to do anything dealing with the internet, and you were able to see a future in all of this and actually build it to something.
If I can find it, yeah. I know it's somewhere. I know it's somewhere. If I can find it, I'll scan it and PDF it. But I will tell you that what I saw was Mike and Jerry. What I saw were two guys that I thought were so insanely creative, and I was so shocked that they were not millionaires. And that was so jarring to me that is what motivated me to do what I did. But yeah, it really is them. It really is them. They're the secret sauce.
Cool. Thanks.
I would just like to take the time to thank you for giving us the time for questions.
Sure.
As a former enforcer, I know how not only how hard it is for you to be unplugged, but how hard it is to be willing to be unplugged.
Sure.
For a while. Anyway, I have a serious question and a quick question. The serious question is, after following your Kickstarter campaign and seeing that the goal was to get rid of ads, but with all the stretch goals, it looked like it was a culmination of a lot of ideas that have been floating around.
Sure.
Would you think about doing a Kickstarter just for some of those individual ideas?
Yeah, I mean, next year I think that if we did that, we'll probably shift to that because that's what people seem to want. They seem to still want the ads. Like that's fundamentally what the campaign has proved is that people are cool with supporting us with Kickstarter, but the thing that we want them to support, only a very small segment of people wanted to support it. So, I think that flipping that around and saying, all right, well, we will let you support the things that you want to support, that sounds like a good idea.
And the quick question is, what's the worst elevator pitch you've ever heard?
The worst elevator pitch I've ever heard? Oh, God.
I'm guessing that the theme park wasn't an elevator
pitch. The theme park was not an elevator pitch. No, that was very long. The worst elevator pitch. Let me just think of like the worst one from this PAX. I can think of a million.
So you're struggling with how many?
You know what? That was a really stupid one. Hold on. someone wanted to bring in, I mean, that was only kind of stupid. Hold on. Let me think about it. I'll follow up.
Thank you.
Where did you get your shoes?
See, we went into this at PAX East.
Oh my God! Look what I purposefully wore this
So you
to
wouldn't get the
avoid this
question.
shit.
I know. Where did he get his suits became a tense moment. A tense moment because there were those who claimed to know where, but couldn't say. And then you were like, I'm not going to tell you where.
He asked me. So you asked me where I got my what?
Shoes.
My shoes. They asked me where I got my suits. They would not stop.
I know.
Anyway, at the
You're a
East panel,
snappy dresser.
The East panel, I would say 6 people asked, and then after that, it became a thing. They started asking Mike and Jerry at their panel, and it
That
was,
I did not know.
Yeah,
That
they
I did
did.
not
And
know.
then they're like, I don't know. And where did I get my shoes? These came from Zappos.
Thanks.
Like everywhere, like all shoes should.
All shoes,
Okay. Yes.
Hi, Robert.
What's up, Robert?
Hey. A quick question for people who are maybe not so business savvy, like Mike and Jerry were. I'm just starting to enter into kind of the small business type of thing right now and experiencing a lot of the pitfalls of running a small business without having no business experience whatsoever.
Sure.
For someone who doesn't have that background, what are some good resources or maybe some good authors or people that you personally think are great for getting insights about how to do a small business? I know there's a lot of schooling involved in all that, but for folks who might not have access to that, what might not be out there for them?
Small business. It depends really what are you doing.
I think just maybe like hints on just how to get an organization running smoothly, how to get yourself out there, how to network yourself to people, that sort of thing.
Let me think about that. Sorry, like some of these answers, I just don't have answers to immediately. I know where you are. I'll get a hold of you. Okay. Thanks, Rob.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Just wanted to ask, kind of touching on the same vein, being able to take something where there really wasn't an established model, business model for long-term sustainable success with web art, web comics. What would be your advice, just in general, from a basic business model standpoint, people looking to do something where there really hasn't been a big-scale success or able to do something like that?
Sure. I mean, I think a business plan, I mean, I know this sounds so boring, but a business plan actually does help a lot as far as getting your ideas onto paper and seeing how it fleshes out, like from the idea of, all right, well, what's our overarching concept? All right, well, what kind of revenues are we doing? What kind of expenses are we doing? What does that mean at the end of the year? How many people do we need to hire? That sort of thing. Getting your head wrapped around the big picture of everything, and then seeing whether that works, and then going from there is always better than just throwing spaghetti on the wall, because otherwise you're just going to waste money.
Sure.
That's my best advice I can give you.
Cool. Thanks so much. I had a quick follow-up too.
Sure.
At what point can we expect to see you sitting in on Acquisitions Inc.?
Never.
Absolutely never.
Never. It'll never happen.
Breaking
Sorry.
my heart, Q. Thanks.
Here's the problem, okay? I'm not very funny. Like, I know that, like, in this context, like, I can give humorous anecdotes and whatnot, but that is not what that is. I can assure you. That is a very different skill set. But thank you for even thinking of me. I
Appreciate it.
it.
Thanks.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey.
I was at the panel at PAX East as well, and if I remember correctly, the revenue for Penny Arcade is roughly split in 4 pieces.
Yeah.
In some order, like PAX, advertising, the merchant, and everything else.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I'm sure you think about it, what is that next section to the fifth thing? And I'm wondering if it's becoming a bigger media publisher. It's been really incredible to see how Penny Arcade TV has grown from the Penny Arcade the series to all these other shows. Is that something that, starting with Strip Search, you do for webcomics?
So, honestly, all of that is the same fundamental business as, say, comics. Okay. The only difference is that instead of a JPEG, it's a video, and we monetize it via the same means, which is serving advertising on it. So we will continue to grow each of those segments, as far as there's the merchandise line, there's the advertising line, and we'll continue to grow those by doing things like creating more content to advertise against, or creating more products or creating more different types of product lines on the merchandise side. So that's where that's where the growth is going to come. I really don't think that we're not really actively looking at creating new business segments though. Like right now we like where we are and we'll continue to grow it.
Cool. Thank you very much.
No problem. Hey.
Hi. As a business student, I just want to say that you're an inspiration.
Oh,
for,
thanks.
You know, as an entrepreneur and a manager.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I was wondering, have you ever thought about a year-round internship program for college students? Or
Oh yeah.
high school students?
Here's the problem with internships. Which is that it's a finite period of time in which we are developing this relationship with this person, and then at the end of the internship it's like, all right, do we hire them or do we not? And then sometimes you hire them, it's like, awesome, great, and then sometimes it's, no, we don't hire them, that was a horrible experience. Yeah. Why would we do
For a
that?
while.
So instead what we do is we go through a horribly aggressive hiring process which vets all of that out initially. Like, I also don't think that internships are terribly fair in terms of the amount of work that the person does to the amount that they get paid. And I know that you're like, oh, whatever, forget it. I don't care about the pay. Just you know, we'll just do this for a year. But yeah, I mean, internships are problematic for me because of how tight-knit the Penny Arcade family is. And bringing someone in without understanding initially, right from the get-go, that they are a lifer, yeah, that's why we don't do it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Hey, golf buddy,
Hi, Robert.
what's up?
How's it going?
Hey.
How's your golf game?
Great. And my 2 golf buddies, for the record, so we were at, we do the Child's Play golf tournament every year, and I get randomly paired with people, but not really random. Like if they make a request for people, you know, we'll pair them up with, and very few people actually make requests. And hey, these 2 guys requested me the first year, and ever since we're golf buddies. So
That's right.
Hey, what's up?
So I had a question. I was wondering if there's any defining moment that you would say made Penny Arcade take off and become what it is today, or if you think just everything it's done has culminated into the business it's become.
You know, I've actually been thinking about this a lot because for those that don't know, my 10-year anniversary at Penny Arcade was in late July. I had been working, that was the 10 years since I walked into that restaurant with Mike and Jerry. And and thinking about that, and like there's all these tiny inflection points of what if this didn't happen, or you know, oh my God, things could have been so different if this didn't happen. And there are so many different points of period. So for instance, me, even going way back, like I discovered Penny Arcade through a site called Square Gamer. I was a forum poster there. I'm a big fan of Square Games, et cetera, et cetera. And had I not registered, for instance, for that, I would have never seen that comic. Nothing would have happened. Had I not decided to work at the company that I was working at, which was in a whole other series of decisions, I would have never had the opportunity to have that meeting with Mike and Jerry. Had we never decided to go to UberCon in New Jersey, we would have never been inspired to create something like PAX. Like so many of these little tiny things happen that make such a huge sort of, you know, this chaos effect of everything just sort of flows from that. Like, can you imagine a world without PAX? Can you imagine a world without Penny Arcade, without like the independent voice that is Penny Arcade in the industry? There are so many tiny things, but as far as like, you know, can I pinpoint one? No. But there are so many things that did happen.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, Robert.
Hey.
Thanks again for doing this.
No problem.
I actually was hoping you could clarify something for
All
me.
right.
Now, when you were talking about Kickstarter earlier, you stated that you didn't necessarily like the idea that Kickstarter was becoming a glorified pre-order system. Could you elaborate on that?
What we like, and I like the idea of supporting a larger idea, like a campaign. Like, I mean, I think that's what Kickstarter was originally built for. So, and for instance, let's say look at the NPR model, right? Where it's like, all right, we are there to support national public radio. The idea of an independent voice, not funded by large companies, and they're able to say and do what they want to do. And in turn, what they do is they offer you, I mean, really shitty gifts, right? They like offer you like a little bag or a CD or something like that's really low cost. And you know, if you were to actually price the value of how much you're contributing to get that little vinyl bag or whatever, it makes no sense. But the spirit of it is like the people don't care that it's not on par with the amount of money that they contributed. What they care about is that they have helped contribute to this campaign or help kickstart this idea that they believe in. And I think with Kickstarter, a lot of things that's happening is like, no, I just want that thing. Oh, it's $25, I want that. I want that game. I want this miniature, that sort of thing. That's my problem with it.
The reason I ask, actually, is because I'm intending to do a Kickstarter later this year. And as a product guy, though,
yeah.
What do you recommend then? If you're not recommending the
Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not effective, all right? And I'm not saying that like that's not the way things are going to go. I'm saying that with our campaign, people were upset that it wasn't more like a store. And like I'm like, look, it's just not like that. I'm sorry. Like I'm never going to offer you a shirt at the $25 level, because you have to understand, like, that makes me money if I was selling shirts, but I'm not selling shirts here. That's not what we're doing here. But no, go ahead, go to town.
Well, from a product perspective, I can actually help you a little bit with that. Is the concept of tiers is actually super powerful. You know, you can have a $1 or extremely low level contribution that, thank you, is the reward. That supports your idea. And then you can move through the tiers if you want to do it from a product perspective. So you can actually kind of do a hybrid model.
Okay, great. That was amazing. Thank you guys very much.
No problem.
I just wanted to say spending 7 hours playing golf with a coup is as awesome as it sounds.
Thanks. I had a great time as well.
Awesome. My question would be, if Robert Koo could make any video game, what video game would he make?
It would be, oh, hold on. Oh, God, I don't know if I can actually say this because I think we might actually do it. Shit.
I will be playing that. Time for the announcement, Robert, of your new game.
It doesn't work. He doesn't succumb to a lot of peer pressure.
No, this would be a good way to tease it. Something that I pitched. All right.
I'm so ready for this.
Taking a step back, which is that when we would go to E3, Mike, Jerry, and I, there was someone that worked at Nintendo that would always take us out to dinner we were friends with, that we ended up hiring him, Jeff Cowles. Jeff Cowles was at Nintendo for 10 years. He was, I think he was one of the producers on Eternal Darkness, like very, very capable person and loved Penny Arcade. And we would always go out and we created this game whenever we would have dinner at E3. It was always one dinner at E3, which was, because part of his role was to listen to game pitches, was what essentially evolved into the Pitch Your Game Idea panel, which was we would pitch him game ideas. And throughout this dinner and, eat shabu shabu. It just always happened.
Probably wasn't as sarcastic in shooting them down as we are now.
No. But what I pitched him and what he ended up thinking was the best idea, and we always have continued to talk about it, was a real world like business school RPG where you were actually
Really?
Yeah. Where like
That's
you're a business
cool.
guy, right? And like you essentially you master party, like you've got your accountant and you've got your lawyers, and you go in, you attack and you go into your like negotiation battles and whatnot. It was really cool. But anyway, there you go.
Wow.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, it looks like we got 2 minutes
We got
left.
2 minutes
Daya,
left.
is that you out there? All right. You guys
Oh,
got
okay.
cut
I
off.
think
Okay,
that, yeah.
great.
Okay.
All right, so sorry. My question is on the gathering of information before you decide to launch a product. So I'm a member of the forum community, and occasionally you'll come by, you'll make a thread, or you'll have us fill out a survey, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like from the Kickstarter that you were surprised at how much some people really love the ads. So before you launch a product, not necessarily merch, but like adding something to PATV or launching something like the PA report, what kind of effort or how much time do you spend gathering information from people like us about how much the product will be received, how well it will be received?
I can tell you that a lot of the things I do in the forum specifically is about validating an existing idea as opposed to finding new ideas. And what's funny was that the Kickstarter idea came from the forums. It came specifically from a lot of conversations with people that saying that they hated the advertising. Because I'm sure you may have read these threads, but
Yes.
like people, like there are people that hate advertising. They're like, just find me a way to help you support you. I mean, just come on, put a tip jar out there. I don't care. And like honestly, that's how it came about. Wow. So yeah, we do listen. We absolutely. I'm not in there for for just shits and giggles. Like I know that you guys are like. You guys are a very entertaining group of people, don't get me wrong. Yes, a very entertaining group of people, but no, I mean, the information I get from you is super valuable.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hi. It's great to know that everything on your site is stamped with the Penny Arcade seal of approval, like your ads. And it's great to know that that level of quality extends to the concerts and everything that we see on the exhibition hall. And I understand that it's very difficult to have a feedback mechanism to get, ideas about whether this is good or whether this is bad. And I'm wondering, at the end of the day in the exhibition hall, what feedback do you provide to the exhibitors? How does Company X earn their right to come back year after year?
Well, the thing that we, honestly, for the expo hall, I mean, it's really hard to get in the expo hall, for instance, right now, because, I mean, everyone wants to get in. There's a waiting list a mile long. And for us, it is making sure, actually, that they behave. Like, making sure that they follow the rules. Like, this is crazy, and, maybe knock on wood on this, but this is the first year I have not received a single Booth Babe complaint. I think that we...
Not a single one?
Not a single one. I think that we finally reached I think we finally beat the shit out of exhibitors to the point where they're like, oh, you do take it seriously.
Yeah, right?
Well, that's weird. And
yeah, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
And keep in mind, like, there have been a number of things where, like, we've kicked exhibitors out for being a bunch of dicks, and, like, it happens. And all of our feedback is really based on negative feedback that we receive. As far as positive feedback, like we'll go walk the floor and we, have a pretty good idea of like, what companies made a really good effort or not. And there's some like we sort of earmark as like, that's not really the best content for our fans. So let's just not invite them back next year, that sort of thing.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
It's also great to know that you're working on a feedback mechanism to hear from us, the audience.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We always listen to you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey Robert, great to hear so much from you about all the stuff that you do. I wanted to ask a question about table tennis at the office.
Sure.
Do any of you guys have like secret training partners where you prepare strategies to move up the ladder or playing against like other teams from other companies and like you hide your new techniques that you're developing so you can crush the guy?
Oh yeah, well first of all, yeah, we don't want to reveal anything, but I will tell you that like there is collusion that occurs on the ladder. And so
I never thought of it like Survivor, but now.
The idea of the ladder is that you can only challenge 2 spaces ahead and you can only challenge once per week. Now, this is going to be really hard to explain without like a chart. But in short, I was, what number was I, Erica? I think I was number 8 on the ladder. This was like earlier. And essentially, like Eric and I are really good friends. And, I don't want to challenge her. I didn't want to challenge her. So we essentially created this elaborate, like, 5-game process. Literally, it was 5 different challenges that had to happen in order for me to beat Jeff. Okay. And so it was so horrible because like first like I think like Jeff beats Josh, and then someone beats Jeff, and then someone had to beat. Someone had to challenge Erica, like Erica had to lose or something. I can't remember, but eventually it pushed Jeff to the point where I could challenge him as opposed to me challenging Erica, and yeah, that happened, and he was very angry, and then he quit.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Your friendship kicked Jeff out of.
It's true. It's all right.
It looks like I'm the last question here,
Yes.
so if I can be a little indulgent. In 2007, I attended my first Penny Arcade Expo, and when I came back from there, I had gotten a job as an entertainment designer in a small firm in Altadena, California, and so struck was I by the community, by the sense of togetherness that I felt, I immediately went to my boss and said, "This would be a great resort experience."
No way. No way.
So I fired you at 4 p.m. and said, "Hey, Koo, Penny Arcade theme park."
Oh. Are you shitting with me?
I am not.
You are the guy.
I am the guy.
I am
Only
not
here.
Go ahead.
Only here at PAX.
I am not a liar, okay? I was telling the truth.
I had my doubts. I had my doubts, but evidently.
So my question is, why you gotta throw me under the bus, man? I'm just trying to grow the brand.
All right, so
So
okay, here's the thing. Worst elevator pitch I've received at PAX. Now I have it. No, just kidding.
Wow.
I'm sorry. It didn't work out. We were working on other things.
Was there really a Fruit Fucker roller coaster?
There was a Fruit Fucker themed attraction.
That's not an attraction. Wow, you've got a really interesting definition of the word attraction.
I thought it would shoot out, like it would come in, like shoot out of the spout. I don't know. It's like,
well, like it would.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It was a resort. We'd have a section for.
I'm glad that went streaming out to the internet. I'm glad that I'm going to be able to take that
all right.
video of what that.
Turn to a GIF. Got it. And it's GIF. It's not GIF.
So I guess a better question would be, are there places you'd like to see the Penny Arcade brand go that aren't just feasible at this time?
You know, it's really funny. All right, really quick funny story, which is that so the poor people at Penny Arcade, everyone that works at Penny Arcade, the problem is that everyone sort of has authority to do everything, really. I mean, that's just sort of the way it works. And but the problem is, like, if you get a request from Mike or Jerry, like, you just do it. And the problem, of course, is that sometimes they're just fucking with you, right? And so, I guess, I don't know how this happened, but I guess Jerry had popped into Kiko's office and said, "Hey, we need to make a PAX Mars logo." And I thought that it was in conjunction with the conversation we were having about getting NASA into the main theater. And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny." And then I was like, "Well, that's really weird." So then I think like a couple days later, I talked to Jerry, and I was like, "Are you going to be there? Are you going to be at the panel?" And he was like, "What are you talking about? What panel?" Like, he literally had no idea about the NASA thing entirely, and he just told Kiko to make this PAX Mars panel. I was like, "All right, fine." So I had Kiko stop working on the logo. But to answer your question, as far as other areas, again, like, it's really about expanding the existing things that we do. Like, for instance, for PAX, we're going into different areas. For for the advertising, we're creating more content, and for merchandise, we're trying to create more new and cool things.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. That was fun.
Thank you.
And we're going to peer all up. back later for the NASA panel. The JPL is going to be awesome.
Stenobot got noise channel lock. Listen to the hi-hat. Think that you can try that? Maybe you can type that. Dreaming on the 8BC, but I hear you leaning heavy on the KIT. Press left, hold B. Square wave channel, modded SP with a purple chrome panel. Tap into the board, bypassing all jacks. Yeah, we keep the sound pure using homemade hacks. DMG, we trust in thee. Hexadecimal, that's enough for me. We burn LSDJ.GB. Stenobot stabbing, you make it look easy. 6 in the morning, police in my steps. Press your D discreet to hit the shuttle connect. And forget the email, cause you gotta perfect. Flip the A button with a focus finesse. DMG, we trust in thee. Hexadecimal, that's enough for me. We burn LSDJ.GB. Stenobot stabbing, you make it look easy. All arpeggios automated and raining down. Yeah, I know who made it, can't you tell it by the sound? Pixelated pulses, head is nodding up and down. STENOBOT, that is by the round.
Sparkly vampires, glittering werewolves, effervescent zombies.